Right now at 10, it is the only debate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, how both candidates are trying to win over voters across the state. And the woman who allegedly attacked a Madison bus driver appears in court. What charges she faces in connection to that crime. Plus, the April 1st election is fast approaching, how Madison West High School is educating students about the race for Wisconsin's top educational official. That is all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Sarah Carlson. Eric Franke is off tonight. Well, the ballots of the Wisconsin Supreme Court will be on the ballot next month. Tonight, candidates Brad Schimmel and Susan Crawford faced off in a debate in Milwaukee. We take you there live, where political reporter Will Keneally breaks down how the candidates attempted to sway voters' opinions less than 3 weeks away from Election Day.
Hey, Sarah, that's right. So as you mentioned before, this is the first and only debate that the Supreme Court candidates are competing in. And it's the only opportunity that voters will get to see them side by side in that vein. A little bit collegial, a little bit testy at times, certainly between each other's. And then also the entire 7-member Supreme Court of current sitting justices was also in the front row for this debate. I do want to play you back a clip here. Both candidates talking about the stakes of this April 1st election.
The stakes are huge. I don't know they could be bigger. I've never been involved in anything where the stakes were bigger than this. And if you told me 5 years ago the Wisconsin Supreme Court would be going through a political agenda, I would have said you're crazy.
You know, he is paying good lip service to the principles of impartiality and open-mindedness. But throughout this campaign, he has taken issues on cases pending before the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Now, that was one trade-off between the two candidates. We also saw them talk about each other's past, essentially outside influences, both money coming into both campaigns, as well as how the political parties might sway their decisions. For example, here's a clip of Brad Schimmel talking about Susan Crawford. Perhaps a case coming before the court in coming months here might be a case to redraw the congressional maps in Wisconsin. Here is Brad Schimmel addressing that for Susan Crawford.
They're going to do the same thing with the congressional maps. And that's why those billionaire donors started kicking in. Almost 50% of my opponent's donors can't vote in the state of Wisconsin because they don't reside here.
You know, I have support from all over the country, and it is because Elon Schimmel is trying to buy this race, and people are very upset about that.
Now, Crawford there alluding to Trump ally Elon Musk donating a significant amount to the Schimmel campaign there. We've also seen some other large donors to the Crawford campaign as well. Again, this is shaping up to be one of the most expensive judicial races, not only in Wisconsin, but across the country in history. And a lot to keep in mind as we're a little less than 3 weeks out from the April 1st election. But for now, reporting in Milwaukee, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
All right, thank you so much, Will. And now to a look at your forecast. It's been another beautiful day for southern Wisconsin and another warm one on the way. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington has more from the weather patio.
Yeah, and Sarah, I just need a light jacket out here. It's the middle of March. We're still technically in winter. Astronomical spring starts next week, and we got spring-like weather on the way to southern Wisconsin. We're already been experiencing it this week, all the way up to 63 tomorrow, 72 on Friday, and then when you see that crash down to 40 by Sunday, something's going on there, and that is that strong weather system that the First One Weather Team has been talking about now for the better part of a week. Still mild at the airport, 41, even the 35s down the road. That's still very warm for this time of year. We even have a 47-degree temperature right now, both in Platteville and in Monroe. 40s to the southwest. That's a hint of things to come for southern Wisconsin as warm air comes in from the south and west on Thursday, peaking on Friday. That's the fuel for severe weather. All of southern Wisconsin, or practically the entire Channel 3 viewing area, is under a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather as we go into Friday night. And I want to emphasize Friday night. Strong damaging winds are the main threats with this line of thunderstorms that we're expecting to move in really at about this time Friday evening. Coming up in Maine weather, we're going to use Future Track to show you the latest projection on that line of thunderstorms that we can expect in less than 48 hours.
All right, thank you, Alex. The woman who allegedly attacked a Madison Metro bus driver, causing the bus to crash into the Asian House restaurant, appeared in court today. Our Maddie Heimch brings us more from the courtroom and her investigation into attacks on Metro drivers.
got assaulted and I smashed the bus into a building.
Did you say that you got attacked?
I just got beat up and I crashed the bus.
Raven Johnson appeared in the courtroom today in custody.
State of Wisconsin versus Raven Johnson.
She faces charges of second-degree recklessly endangering safety, attempted battery to a public transit operator, resisting or obstructing an officer, and 3 counts of bail jumping. Citing eligibility to have a state defender present, the judge agreed to reschedule Johnson's preliminary hearing for a later date.
You would like today's hearing adjourned so you can have a lawyer assist you and they're going to get you somebody.
Yes.
Got it.
She'll reappear on March 26th. And while the alleged assault in late February led to a shocking scene on Madison's east side,
injuries at the Asian house when a city bus crashed in the building.
The incident itself not uncommon for Metro drivers. I obtained these records from Madison Metro showing that there were 54 disturbances on buses involving drivers just in 2024.
A number of different things lead to us responding to incidents involving the bus system.
Those incidents include verbal threats, racial attacks, and physical assaults toward drivers.
Metro has, great drivers who do their best to try to handle things and just keep order on the buses themselves. But occasionally we will get called.
A Madison Metro representative declined an on-camera interview regarding protocols when disturbances occur on buses, but provided a statement reading in part, quote, "Throughout the day, we have driver supervisors out on the road to respond to situations that might be happening. If a driver has any type of issue, they call into dispatch. Dispatch then makes the determination on whether to send over a supervisor or to send police as well." I spoke with the attacked driver on the phone. He says he just wants to put the entire situation behind him. Reporting on Madison's east side, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Maddie. In other news, the Madison woman who died after a fatal crash on the city's southwest side has been identified. The Dane County Medical Examiner's Office identified her as 67-year-old Mary Pritchard. She died after a crash near South Gammon and Raymond Roads last Thursday. 2 children were also injured in that crash and suffered non-life-threatening injuries. 20-year-old Rayan Bertrand has been charged with homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle and first-degree reckless homicide, among other charges. He's being held in the Dane County Jail. UW-Madison is one of 60 universities being investigated by the Department of Education for not protecting Jewish students on campus. That means the university could lose millions of dollars in federal funding. Greg Steinberger is the president and CEO of UW-Hillel. While he believes UW is a safe and welcome place for Jewish students, he says there was anti-Semitism on campus at some point.
There have been incidents on this campus, on other campuses in the Wisconsin system, and clearly across the country that certainly are worthy of thoughtful examination.
Now, the letter from UW did not specify exactly when UW violated Title VI. The investigation opened January 29th in 2024. That's just months before large protests took place on campus here. UW-Madison is home to many Jewish students with more than 4,000, 13% of the undergraduate population. The City of Madison's clerk, Maribeth Witzel-Bale, has been placed on administrative leave ahead of the spring election. The decision comes amidst an investigation after nearly 200 ballots were uncounted in November's election. City Attorney Michael Haas will take over as city clerk on an interim basis. And as we approach April 1st Election Day, we are seeing more campaign efforts from candidates on the ballot. This afternoon, Madison West High School hosted Dr. Jill Underly. The town hall was put together by the school's Civics Club. Underly commented on how the public instruction department would be affected by federal funding cuts from the Department of Education.
We get about $1 billion in federal dollars for K-12 alone. We get more when you look at research for higher education. So by removing that funding, it's going to devastate local communities. And we need to do everything we can to support students, and teachers, and families.
West High School held a similar event in October where they hosted candidates for the U.S. Senate ahead of November's election. Now, we also reached out to Underly's opponent, Brittany Kinzer, to see if she was invited to speak at that town hall. Now, her campaign team replied stating, quote, Brittany Kinzer was not invited to this meeting and the organizers admit that we did not receive it. We hope Jill Underly changes her mind and participates in one of the 3 debates she has declined, end quote. Well, UW Health and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield have reached an agreement to extend their current contract. The extension will now run through July 1st. The current agreement was set to expire in April, leaving many patients concerned about where they would get care. This extension will allow in-network coverage at UW Health while the two organizations work towards a new long-term contract. Well, still to come at 10, a new report shows inflation is cooling, but that's not stopping recession concerns from heating up. And the trade war between the U.S. and European Union escalates, how the Trump administration is retaliating after billions of dollars of U.S. goods are taxed.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Welcome back. Billions of dollars worth of American-made goods are now being targeted for increased tariffs. Overnight, the U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. In response, the European Union and Canada announced retaliatory tariffs of their own. The EU is targeting $28 billion worth of American goods, including beef, bourbon, motorcycles, and jeans. Meanwhile, Canada says it is following a dollar-for-dollar approach to new tariffs.
Our sole focus is to stand up for Canadian interests, Canadian jobs, and Canadian workers.
We're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs, so whatever they charge us, we're charging them. Nobody can complain about that.
Canada is taxing more than $20 billion worth of products, including steel, computers, and servers and cast iron goods. Inflation eased during February, but that may not be enough to calm consumers. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said the consumer price index was 2.8% year over year in February. That is a slowdown from 3% year over year in January, but still higher than where the Federal Reserve would like it.
We're talking about a 2.8% increase in prices. So that's significant, and it's significantly away from where the Federal Reserve would like to be, which is closer to a 2% inflation target.
Now, the data is too early to show the impact of President Trump's tariff policies at this point. Recession concerns are on the rise right now. J.P. Morgan Chase said there's about a 40% chance that the U.S. economy will enter a recession before the end of the year. That is a 10% hike from what economists there had forecast in January. They say the Trump administration's actions are among the factors causing the increase. Well, hundreds of employees at the U.S. Education Department will soon be out of a job. The department is cutting nearly 50% of its workforce. Now, the layoffs, which started last night, combined with those who already took voluntary so-called buyouts, will cut the department's headcount to nearly 2,200 employees.
That was the president's mandate. This directive to me clearly is to shut down the Department of Education.
That's bad news for any American who cares about education for disabled children, about higher education, about a skilled workforce.
Senior officials say job cuts will not impact federal student aid in, quote, any way, shape, or form. Fully eliminating the department would require Congress to act. Southern Wisconsin will see quite the warm-up over the next couple of days, and our First Warn weather team is tracking a storm system as well. We have Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington now.
Yes, let's start with the good stuff, the warm stuff that we'll experience on Thursday. Temperatures up to 63 in Madison, 64 in Janesville, and 66 in Prairie du Chien. Very well likely could be the nicest day of the week because the winds will be light. On Monday, we were in the mid to upper 60s, but it was quite on the breezy side. By the time we get to Friday, though, temperatures getting up to 72 to 75, and that's with ahead of that weather system that, as you were saying, Sarah, we've been tracking that will bring the fuel for strong to severe thunderstorms as we go into Friday night and going into early Saturday. And I really want to emphasize this. This is not a late afternoon or early evening severe weather potential. This is a nighttime severe weather potential, which increases the importance of us really stressing that you need to have the First Warn weather app, tuning into, of course, Channel 3, and then, of course, Channel 3000 and our Facebook page for the latest updates on a nighttime event that is a level 2 out of 5, according to the Storm Prediction Center. From the Dells to Watertown to Elkhorn, really much of southern Wisconsin is under this now risk that has increased from yesterday's risk, and we will be keeping a close eye on that. What's the main threat? Strong damaging winds, although we cannot rule out a few embedded tornadoes within this line of thunderstorms, especially if we can get enough moisture out ahead of that. Hopefully that's not the case. We don't need any severe weather. We had enough severe weather last year, but we could use the rain, and well, I'll show you the rain and the projection of this line of thunderstorms knocking on the doorstep, 9 o'clock. And when you see the consistency with our weather models stretching from the Dells to Madison to Janesville, last night it was showing the same projection. Tonight it's showing the same projection, getting into the Madison area to the Dells to Janesville by around midnight. Seeing the same evolution of this line of thunderstorms means that the consistency is there, the likelihood is there for this line of thunderstorms, and this is likely how the timing is going to pan out, provided this does not change over the course of the next 24 hours. The line itself moves just as quickly as it moves in. It moves off to the east. It also has a bit of a bowing shape to it, and that is usually suggesting strong damaging winds. Behind that line of thunderstorms, we could see another shower, maybe isolated thunderstorm develop on Saturday before the main cold front comes through late Saturday morning, early afternoon. Water, not a whole lot. And I know we could use this. We don't need the severe weather. We could use the water. But because of the fast pace of those showers and those thunderstorms, not a lot of water with this event, 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Winds strong in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range out ahead of that line of thunderstorms. The winds briefly relax as we go into Saturday out ahead of the final cold front. We see those winds ramp up to 40, maybe 45 miles per hour, so likely looking at alert day conditions again on Saturday. But the main threat is Friday night going into Saturday. Strong winds are our main severe weather threat with this fast-moving line of thunderstorms, and likely we'll be adding alert day conditions for Saturday for those strong winds as the storm system finally then exits later Saturday.
And coming up in sports, hitting the transfer portal. The big name leaving Wisconsin's women's basketball team is next on News 3 Now. The top 3 finalists for the Patty Kazmaier Award have been announced, and all 3 are Badgers. Layla Edwards, Caroline Harvey, and Casey O'Brien all made the cut, and let's put this in perspective. This is like if all 3 Heisman finalists came from the same school. That's how good Wisconsin has been this year, and it's just the second time in the history of the Patty Kaz that all 3 finalists are from the same team. Meanwhile, Wisconsin won't find out who they'll play until tomorrow night, but regardless of who they'll face, it will be the last time the senior class will skate at LeBon, a place that will always be special to this group. And Saturday afternoon, the Badgers plan on soaking it all in.
All the great memories I've had here, they just all come together, and I'm going to look back on LeBon and all the fans. And I mean, it's a privilege to play at LeBon every day, and I haven't taken it for granted. And it'll be an emotional game, but I'll definitely leave it all out on the ice.
On the men's side, Gavin Morrissey has been named one of 3 finalists for the Big Ten's Freshman of the Year award. In 37 games this season, Morrissey scored 9 goals and tallied 23 assists to finish with 32 points. The league's Freshman of the Year will be announced on Tuesday. Fresh off being named first-team All-Big Ten, John Tonje can now add second-team All-American to his title thanks to the Sporting News. The Badger guard leads the Badgers in scoring, averaging nearly 19 points per game, and has scored in double figures in every game but 2 this season. And Wisconsin will face Northwestern tomorrow around 1:30 in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament. And our very own Andrew Banster will be there all week long with the Badgers. Wisconsin is 3-0 all-time against Northwestern in the Big Ten tourney. And after 3 seasons in Madison where she was a walking double-double, Sarah Williams announced she's leaving the program. Williams sits 11th on the program's all-time scoring list, 2nd for career blocks, 3rd in double-doubles, and 8th in rebounds. Carter McRae also entered the transfer portal. She averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds during her lone season at Wisconsin. And the mayor of Door County is leaving Green Bay after not playing at all last season because of a neck injury that sent him to IR. A.J. Dillon is headed to Philly. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles, and center Josh Meyer has signed with the Jets. We're back after this.
Tonight. So he's going to arrest anyone who disagrees with him?
Even me? John Oliver?
All new CBS tonight.
Tomorrow on News 3 Now in the morning, St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, so the morning show, oh, how cute is that? The morning show has a visit from dancers with the Trinity Irish Dance Academy to see how they're preparing for the big day. And finally tonight, an Australian man did not have to ask the wizard in order to get himself a heart. This is unbelievable. He is the first person in the world to leave the hospital with an artificial heart. The patient, in his 40s, received the titanium implant last November, and it kept him alive for 100 days until his donor heart became available earlier this month. The total artificial heart pumps blood to the body and lungs, replacing both ventricles of the failing heart. Doctors say it's a promising sign that the device could be a long-term solution for people with heart failure. It's still being tested, though, hasn't been approved for general use, but still.
Unbelievable.
Wow. 100 days
Wow.
until they found the donor. There's hope. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And there's hope, or it's a sign at least, that we're going to have some pretty serious weather going on in a couple days.
Unfortunately, we have Friday night going into Saturday for alert day conditions. The nice stuff that precedes it, when you get into the 70s in March and then you fall to 40, something's got to happen there with weather. And we're looking at a line of thunderstorms really at about this point. Friday evening, we'll be tracking that. Likely Blaze and I will be doing dual coverage. Some of those storms could be strong with damaging winds being the main threat. We can't rule out an isolated tornado. The good news is the line of thunderstorms will be moving quickly, so that severe weather threat starts and ends quickly. The unfortunate part, though, is that we don't get a lot of water from that, but we'll end on a bright note here. Here's a nice halo picture from Jane. Sign of moisture increasing high up in the sky.
We'd love to see that. Thank you, Alex. And thanks for watching, everyone. See you tomorrow.